Have you ever looked at a peaceful neighborhood, the kind with trimmed grass, quiet sidewalks, neat houses, and wondered why the vibe feels just a little too controlled, a little too suspiciously perfect? Usually, it's because somewhere, lurking behind a hedge or sitting in a folding chair with a clipboard, there's an HOA board member waiting for someone to breathe wrong. And today's marathon of HOA Reddit stories will take you deep into that world, a world where petty rules turn into full-scale wars, where homeowners fight back with laws sharper than any garden tool, and where the smallest bit of power creates the biggest disasters. Let's dive back into the madness. After the illegal rule HOA collapsed, the neighborhood breathed for the first time in years. People painted their doors whatever color they wanted. Someone even placed a little flamingo statue on their lawn, a tiny symbol of freedom. But peace in an HOA neighborhood is like good Wi-Fi. It never lasts long. A few months later, a new group of neighbors tried to reestablish authority. They called it a Community Enhancement Committee. That was the first red flag. Anything that sounds that gentle usually hides chaos. They claimed it was voluntary, but soon they began acting like a governing body anyway. Walking around with cameras, asking people why their porch lights weren't LED, complaining about lawn gnomes, even telling one couple that their wind chimes were too cheerful for the community tone. One man finally said, "Show me the rule book." They had none. Just vibes, just opinions, just three bored people with too much time. The neighborhood laughed them out of existence. But the next story shows what happens when HOA presidents take things way too personally. A man planted sunflowers along his walkway. Tall, bright, cheerful ones. Kids loved them. Bees flocked to them. His elderly neighbor even said they reminded her of her childhood. But the HOA hated them. They issued a notice saying the flowers were not in line with the community's visual harmony. He ignored it. They threatened fines. He still ignored it. Then the HOA president marched to his house and tried to yank the flowers out of the soil herself. He caught her red-handed. When he demanded she stopped, she claimed she had authority as the aesthetic guardian. Aesthetic guardian. That was her official title in her own mind. He took photos, called the police, and filed a vandalism complaint. The HOA claimed he assaulted her with aggressive speech. But here's where it gets interesting. His neighbor had installed a brand new security camera facing the walkway. Perfect angle. The footage showed everything. The president destroying flowers like a cartoon villain, then yelling at the air dramatically to pretend she was being threatened. The footage went viral locally. The HOA board forced her to resign. He replanted his sunflowers, double the amount. Then comes the infamous mailbox war story, a true HOA legend. A homeowner had a slightly larger mailbox than standard. Not huge, not wild, just roomy. It wasn't even noticeable unless you stared at it. But the HOA president hated it. She sent letters demanding it be replaced. He measured it. It was within regulation size. She said it looked bigger. Yes, looked bigger. So he repainted it a neutral color. Still too big, she claimed. He installed a smaller one inside the larger one. Petty, but funny. She said she could sense the illegal mailbox underneath. Eventually, she tried to fine him $200 a day. That was her mistake. The homeowner was a contractor. He pulled the original installation permit from city archives. Not only was the large mailbox approved, it was installed by the developer as a model mailbox before the HOA even existed, meaning the mailbox was literally more official than the HOA. He brought the documents to the next meeting. Everyone laughed when they saw the developer's signature approving the large mailbox design. The president lost the fight, the mailbox remained, and for fun, he placed a tiny sticker on it that read, "Certified Extra Legal Mailbox." But let's go deeper. into one of the longest HOA fights ever posted online, the garage door saga. A family painted their garage a calm, light tan, neutral, pleasant. But the HOA claimed it wasn't approved. They insisted it had to be a specific shade called desert wind. The family showed receipts. It was desert wind. The HOA said the lighting distorted the tone. Lighting. They blamed the sun. The family took photos at dawn, noon, sunset, twilight, still wrong. The HOA issued fines. The family ignored them. So the HOA tried something bolder. They hired a contractor to repaint the garage themselves without permission. The contractor showed up early, ready to paint. The family stopped him. The HOA said, "We are enforcing uniformity." The family said, "No, you are trespassing." The HOA doubled down. So the family installed a security camera system and a motion sensor alarm that triggered a loud message. "You are trespassing on private property." The HOA hated it. They claimed the alarm disrupted the aesthetic tranquility. But when the family threatened legal action, suddenly the HOA backed off. While researching, the family discovered something hilarious. The HOA president's own garage door was painted the wrong shade of desert wind. Not even close. They brought this to the next meeting. Everyone gasped. The HOA president resigned in embarrassment. The garage door remained exactly as it was. Next, let's move to the HOA golf cart insanity story. A retiree used a small golf cart to visit neighbors and deliver groceries to elderly residents. The HOA said it was an unauthorized vehicle. They tried to ban it, but he kept using it anyway. It didn't bother anyone except the board. They began following him, filming him, even trying to block his path with their cars. It was ridiculous. So he installed a horn that played a cheerful tune every time they got in his way. Kids loved it, neighbors laughed, the HOA raged. Then the retiree pulled the ultimate card. He donated the golf cart to the community as an elderly mobility aid approved under disability accommodation laws. The HOA could not ban it. They had to allow it and even maintain it. He went from golf cart outlaw to neighborhood hero. Now let's explore one of the darkest HOA stories ever posted, the security patrol scandal. A neighborhood hired a private security patrol. Sounds fine, right? Except this patrol took their job way too seriously. They started issuing tickets, photographing people in their own driveways, following teens walking home, and even demanding IDs from joggers. It was creepy. When confronted, the HOA said the patrol was enhancing safety. One night, the patrol followed a woman into her driveway and blocked her car. She recorded the entire thing. The patrol demanded she identify herself to ensure she belonged on the premises. She lived there for 19 years. The video spread. The community erupted. Turns out the security company wasn't licensed, not even real. Just two guys the HOA president hired because they looked official. They wore fake badges, fake radios, fake authority. The HOA was sued so brutally that the entire board resigned, and the new board banned any future security hires without community approval. Now, the story of the backyard observatory disaster, one of my personal favorites. A homeowner loved astronomy. He built a small observatory dome in his backyard, fully permitted, safe, non-intrusive. But the HOA said it was an eyesore. He fought back, showing it was approved. They still issued fines. Finally, he said, "Let's settle this scientifically." He invited the HOA to view Saturn through his telescope. They refused. So he invited the entire neighborhood. Hundreds showed up. Families came with kids, people brought snacks, someone called it Saturn Saturday. The observatory became the most popular attraction in the community. The HOA looked ridiculous trying to shut down something wholesome. Not wanting to seem anti-science, they backed off, and the observatory stayed. Now, the legendary parking permit meltdown. A homeowner had more guests during holidays than usual. The HOA required guest permits, but they ran out. The homeowner asked why. The HOA said, "We didn't anticipate that many guests visiting one family." He said, "It's Christmas." They said, "We don't adjust policy for holidays." So he parked all his guest cars on his own lawn, his property. The HOA lost their minds. They threatened immediate fines. He said, "Show me the rule that bans parking on private lawns." There was none. They tried to create an emergency rule illegally. He fought it and won. The HOA was forced to refund fines they had issued to other homeowners for the same violation over the years. Now we reach the easement nightmare, one of the craziest HOA stories ever documented. A man owned land that included a private trail. The HOA didn't know this. They believed the trail belonged to the community and began installing lighting poles and benches. When he confronted them, they dismissed him, saying the community voted on trail development. He showed them the deed. They ignored it. So he put up signs saying private property. The HOA took them down. He replaced them. They took them down again. Finally, he put up a steel gate. The HOA cut the lock. That was the last straw. He filed a lawsuit. In court, everything came crashing down. They had illegally built community amenities on his land. The judge ordered the HOA to pay him damages and lease the land from him annually. He set the fee at $1 a year just to embarrass them. And he donated that dollar to the neighborhood school every year. These stories prove one thing. HOAs don't fear confrontation. They fear knowledge. They fear documentation. They fear homeowners who can read. They fear being wrong. And above all, they fear losing control. Because the moment someone stands up, the illusion of authority shatters. Every time an HOA oversteps, someone pushes back. And every time someone pushes back, the HOA folds, piece by piece. That's the world of HOA Reddit stories. Chaotic, petty, dramatic, sometimes hilarious, and always entertaining.